going to kick off episode 104 of Monster Kid Radio with the song Panic Party. It comes from the band The Bambi Molesters. You can find out more about them over at thebambimolesters.com. It appears on their album As the Dark Wave Swells, and it appears on Monster Kid Radio with their permission. This is Monster Kid Radio, the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear. I want to welcome you to the show. I'm your host, producer, writer, Derek M. Cook, and I've got Mitch Gonzales back for part 2 of our discussion of the movie The Horror of Party Beach. This 1964, okay, I'm going to call it a classic, from director Tenney, featuring a really unique monster, and a monster that left quite an impression on Mitch. Now, back in episode 103 a couple of days ago, you heard about how this movie influenced him, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this movie, but then we're also going to talk about a few other things. For example, we're going to play a round of the Classic 5 with Mitch Gonzales. The Classic 5 is a card game that you're going to be able to buy for yourself later this year. There will be a home edition, but for now, you can only hear it here on the podcast, and Mitch Gonzales is going to play it this time around. Also, Mitch is going to tell us about his personal mountain of monsters. That's all I want to say. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this. Something that he says about The Horror of Party Beach blew my mind. The connection he made between that and something that is the furthest thing from cheesy monster movies. It just was mind-blowing. Mitch brought it to the table, and of course we had to kind of talk a little bit more about, well, I don't want to ruin it again. I'm spoiling it. You're just going to have to listen. Before you listen, though, I want to tell you a little bit more about Monster Kid Radio, or at least tell you where you can find out about it. Our website, monsterkidradio.net. From there, you can find our Flickr album, which has pictures from all the different events that Monster Kid Radio has been a part of over the past year or so. We're just barely a year old here. You can also find a link to our YouTube channel, which is a collection of what we're calling the Essential Trailers. We're going to be updating that here soon, probably after Monster Bash, put some more trailers on the mix. But it's trailers to classic monster movies, so it's just fun viewing to put in the background or foreground, whatever you want to do. Also, you can find a link to our Live 365 channel. Again, Steve Eckert helped get that going again. We've refreshed the playlist. I've even just made an alteration to the playlist today. As of this recording, the playlist has been altered. There's some new music on there, so go check that out. Just go to live365.com and look up Monster Kid Radio, or follow the link over at monsterkidradio.net. You can also find links to everything that we're going to talk about in this episode of Monster Kid Radio over there, as well as links to every single song and band that's appeared here on the show. Lastly, you can also find a link to our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, and it's on Facebook that we'll announce the details for the upcoming Monster Kid Radio Crash, because Portland area listeners, the Joy Cinema is bringing in Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D. Now, this is not the classic red and blue version of the movie. It's polarized, which is going to be a clearer picture. Now, I love it in red and blue. I've seen it in red and blue repeatedly. I don't know if I've seen it polarized, though, so I'm excited for this. This is going to be a Monster Kid Radio Crash. As soon as we get more details, we'll make those available on the Facebook page. There will be a Facebook event set up, and of course, we'll talk about it on future episodes of Monster Kid Radio. So we've got Mitch Gonzales, we've got some more talk about the Horror of Party Beach, we've got a round of the Classic 5, and we even have some feedback, which we're going to go through at the end of the episode. And we're going to get to all of that right after this.
Hi, this is Ruby.
And I'm Hater.
And we host the Mimiverse Bonfire Podcast.
A podcast based on Christopher R. Mim, a Minnesota filmmaker who's got 8 films under his belt, soon to be 9.
And they're all 1950s-style black and white movies.
The podcast revolves around actors, the making of the films, and various other little fun bits.
And technicians.
You can find us at saintuphoria.com.
Or like us on Facebook.
That would be the Mimiverse Bonfire Podcast. Hope you tune in.
This is Jackie Ray Naaman Jones. I played Debbie in Monos, The Hands of Fate, and you're listening to Monster Kid Radio.
As far as the monsters in this film go, I mean, I know that your background, I mean, having spoken to you and seeing you on Facebook and just knowing your history with Mim, your interest in these movies goes back much further than just making movies with him. You're an artist. I mean, you draw and you sculpt and all that. Had you tried to create your own Party Beach monster at one point, either by drawing or sculpting or anything like that?
You know, it's been on the back burner for a while. I've been wanting to do it, and I think when I revisited the movie recently, I kind of sketched up an idea I want to do for maybe a bust of it. But I even would love to make a full head just to have on my shelf. Yeah, I see one on eBay before. It looked pretty good, but I'd like to make one. Take a crack at it myself.
I would love to have one too.
Maybe I need to get one made.
There you go. There you go. Do you have do you have any merchandise or memorabilia, promotional material, posters from this film?
I do, actually. I have that Warren Publishing released that, I guess, movie tie-in book years ago. I have a copy of that I picked up at a convention years ago. And I think it's pretty easy to get on eBay. I actually went and found some Del Ayers records, and they're the guys that, the band that appear in the beginning of the movie and do the famous Zombie Stomp song. So, we'd be remiss not mentioning them. They're a big part of the movie. Their music's hard to come by, or was. So searching eBay, I found a number of their singles on the old Coral label. So I've got, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 45s from the Del Ayers, and probably most recently Norton Records out of New York released a compilation of the Del Ayers music on vinyl. So it's easy to get now. So if you went to their website, Norton Records, you can find the Del Ayers music, and it's a wonderful collection of music. They have the Zombie Stomp on there. They've got some of the other incidental music that played in the movie. I believe there's 6 total songs that appear in the movie, and all those, I believe all of them are on the record, but I haven't cross-checked yet. But it's a good record.
This movie, as well as a lot of the Beach movies, they feel like they were designed to sell a soundtrack. Yet I've never really seen a soundtrack album, and I'm a soundtrack junkie. I've never seen a soundtrack album for this film, and I don't know if this was a missed opportunity. They didn't come up with the rights for it, whatever happened there, but it feels like you could have packaged the Del Ayers in an album for Horror Party Beach as a soundtrack release. I'd buy it.
Well, exactly. Well, the 45s I have, it mentions from the soundtrack Horror Party Beach. On the 45, there's a little inscription there on the label. But I think it just ultimately became a missed opportunity, not have enough money to promote it. These were showed on the drive-in here and there, and then they just died away. So this wasn't a popular movie, I don't think, in the day when it was released. That could be part of it.
Potentially, yeah. I'm not sure how it did back then. I mean, obviously it did well enough to keep Tenney at least producing films.
That's right, yeah.
You mentioned that comic book. I want to get back to that real quick. Well, it's more like magazine size, and it's by Warren Publishing, which was the house behind Famous Monsters, the film.
Correct. Yeah, and it's really not a comic book per se. It's kind of a film book. I would probably a better name for it.
I think that's what they call it on the front of the book, or the front of the magazine. I'm looking on some pictures right now on eBay.
Yeah.
I don't own it myself. I have seen it. Scott Morris, who's been on the show in the past, owns one, and I flipped through it when I was at his place a while back. It is exactly what you said. It's pictures from the film with word bubbles.
Exactly, yeah.
I've got a very similar magazine for the Mole People doing the same thing.
Oh, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got to have John Agar in my comic book collection. So
definitely.
I think, if anything, this movie suffers from just not having a wider exposure outside of like its appearance on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right.
Have you seen it on MST3K?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't actually sat down and watched the full episode, but I mean, it's an easy movie to take shots at. Absolutely.
Sure. I think it stands up, though, on its own as a very interesting slice of these two types of movies, or this very interesting look at these two types of movies being blended together forcefully at times. Beach movie, monster movie. I think it can be enjoyed straight for what it is.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, I've only seen it by itself, so like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch the full episode with Mystery Science Theater. But then on the flip side, trying to watch Manos without the Mystery Science Theater commentary is very difficult. I've done it a couple times. It's rough, whereas the Mystery Science Theater definitely adds to it. This movie, I think, like you said, stands on its own. I have no problem watching it just on its own.
I'm proud to say that I've survived Manos.
Yes.
And I can watch it straight. I can handle it. But sometimes the MST3K guys do make it a little easier.
I agree.
Just a little bit. I'm still waiting for my Manos restoration and Blu-ray to come out, so I'm still waiting for that.
I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be. I wonder how it's going to taint the movie, in that we're used to those horrible copies and bad edits and whatnot, but how it's going to play in the pristine kind of version.
That said, I want to get a better look at the Master's robe because I want one.
Oh, that's an awesome robe.
I would teach myself how to sew to make one of those just for me.
Exactly. And then you lounge around the house with that. And
oh, yeah.
Your wife asks you something, you just raise your arms out.
Really, really, really hope that somebody comes to the door trying to pitch me some church meeting or whatever so I can put the robe on and answer the door. That's what I want. That's
excuse me, I'll be right back. And then you come to the door with the robe. Come in.
Well, that and, having this monster suit from the Horror of Party Beach. According to the IMDb, Del Tenney says that he kept it for years.
He mentions that in the second audio track that he had it for years, and the kids would pull it out every Halloween and run around with it. But I think at the time they did the interview on the DVD, it had been lost, so it's missing now. So that's unfortunate.
Well, I can't imagine it was made to last 30, 40 years.
No. And I know on the Wikipedia they mentioned that Gutzman Borglum's, he's the gentleman that sculpted Mount Rushmore. He was the head of that. That his sculpting studio had something to do with it.
No.
Well, that's what it says, but I don't think that is correct. I think that's why that's mentioned is I know listening to the audio tracks again, Del Tenney had mentioned that his father-in-law owned Gortzen. I'm going to mangle this gentleman's name. And I went to Mount Rushmore not too long ago. It's Gutzman Borglum's estate in Connecticut. So apparently he had a studio there and all kinds of land, and that's where they filmed a lot of the kind of forest scenes or where the monsters are running through the trees and tree lines and whatnot, and where they filmed most of the Curse of the Living Corpse. I think they filmed it all there. So I think that's where that tie-in. I think that's not correct. But I do know there's a gentleman, Robert Verberkmos, that's the art director. I think they said that he's the monster costume designer. It's uncredited, but I think he's the guy who had a hand in that.
Well, I don't know about you listeners, but my world was just made a little bit better by finding out that somehow the Horror of Party Beach has a connection to Gutzman Borglum, the guy who created Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Yep,
as tangential correct. As that connection is, my world is now a little brighter.
It's a true statement.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this, and we'll use this as a segue to get into something else here in a little bit. Mount Rushmore, what 4 monster designs would you put on your personal monster Mount Rushmore? Oh,
definitely have the creature from the Black Lagoon up there.
Okay.
I'm going to go across just genres. With the passing recently of H.R. Giger, put the alien up there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe the Predator? Okay, we're going to throw Godzilla up there. A little Toho action.
Oh, wow.
4 up there.
Wow, okay. I can see that. I'm on board.
I think all those in themselves have been kind of milestone moments or woodshed moments in monster design history.
So the Gillman, the Predator, Alien, and Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm going to go with those, just off the top of my head.
All right. Well, we won't tell the monsters from the Horror at Party Beach that you just slighted them on their Mount Rushmore possibility, but
Well,
we'll tell you what. Let's
get going to go up, but they never got around to putting it up.
There you go. Well, let's give them like the Crazy Horse monument that never got finished.
Exactly.
We'll make that the kind of sort of yeah.
Which, when I was out there seeing all those, they're amazing, the Mount Rushmore. We actually chartered a helicopter, my son and I, and flew over and around Mount Rushmore, which was just phenomenal. And then going to Crazy Horse and seeing basically a one-man's dream trying to get the sculpture, finished. Now his family, he's passed away, but his family's, keeping it going. It's amazing, the scope of that work.
Yeah, I was there as a kid. I have some memories about it, but it's been years, and I don't know if much work's been done on the Crazy Horse sculpture since I was there. What 30 plus years ago. So.
Oh wow, yeah, they've got a lot of work. I don't know how much more, but it's still pretty rough. But yeah, I was there probably 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I'd say.
Well, I just asked you, kind of a Monster Kid friendly kind of question. And I told you when we started recording that I would love to do a round of the Classic 5 with you. The Classic 5 is kind of a rapid fire yes or no, this or that kind of game. There will be a home version coming later this year. I've got 5 randomly selected monster movie questions. Are you ready to play the Classic 5?
I'm as ready as I will be.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Favorite Ed Wood film?
Plan 9.
Question number 2, King Kong or Mighty Joe Young?
King Kong.
Question 3, Willis O'Brien or Ray Harryhausen?
Ray Harryhausen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Question 4, Son of Dracula or Dracula's Daughter?
Dracula's Daughter.
And finally, question 5, what classic monster movie would you like to see as a theme park attraction?
Oh, man. Creature from Black Lagoon.
Oh, how fun would that be?
That would be awesome.
Oh, man, it's almost...
Get in a little riverboat. And...
Yeah. Oh, it's built for it perfectly. Get on the boat, go on the... Oh. Somebody call Disney.
There you go.
Well, actually, no, it's Universal. They got a theme park. Let's do it.
It's a missed opportunity. I don't know why they haven't taken advantage of that already. They have Jaws.
Yeah, well, they had Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
As I wait for the remake, then maybe they'll do something. All right. Well, The Horror at Party Beach, I think it's a fun movie. I think people can enjoy it with or without MST3K, and it's a pretty affordable double disc set with Curse of the Living Corpse. I have it in my collection. I'm going to go back and watch Curse of the Living Corpse again. It's been years since I've seen Horror at Party Beach, so I want to thank Mitch for bringing that to the Monster Kid Radio wheelhouse or brown table here for us to talk about here on the show. Fun film. For you, Mitch, what have you got coming up? Has Mim talked to you about the next movie yet?
Yeah, we're in pre-production on a movie. He's starting to write it. He sent me some script bits that I've been reading, but I can say that it's going to involve a robot. So I'm starting to design kind of a robot of some sort. We'll have to see how that comes along.
Have you done a robot for him before?
I've not had a chance. I always wanted to do, like the robots you see in the old serials, or just the man in a robot suit, and that's what we're going to try and replicate. Nice.
Now, is it a robot or is it a robot?
It's a robot.
Awesome. Run by a computer, perhaps?
A computer, yes. It's going to be fun.
Do you have any other projects or anything coming up that people might be able to see your artwork at, or do you put your stuff online for people to look at?
No, I get that question a lot, and I know Chris has said he helped me get a website up or something that at least show pictures. So I'll have to work on that when I get time. But time is a precious commodity to come by. It's rough sometimes.
Do you have any convention appearances coming up?
No, we just did the Texas Frightmare. I think that's the only one I'm appearing at with Chris this summer. I know if you go to the steuphoria.com website, there's an event section. You can look and see where any of the movies are playing or any of the convention appearances are going to be taking place.
Well, we'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to that, because if you guys and gals get a chance to meet Chris or Mitch or any of the Mimiverse regulars or rare regulars at a convention, I mean, I imagine they're a blast to hang out with. I mean, the movies are fun just to watch on their own, but to actually interact with these guys and gals, it's just a treat to talk to Chris. It's a treat to talk to Mitch. Go up and say hi, buy their movies. Support these guys because they love what they do, and you're going to love watching it.
We really appreciate all the support. We were just made, like I said, we made an appearance at the Texas Frightmare this May 2nd through the 4th, and met a lot of. It was our first time in Texas, and man, the Texans are a very friendly bunch. We made a lot of new friends and sold a lot of movies, so it was fun to do.
Very cool. And if you go to Mitch's Facebook page, I don't know if it's open to the public, but he's got pictures from this trip, complete with pictures of the Fiend from Beyond Space and one of the Moon Zombies.
Yes, we had a couple. We had the Moon Zombie mask and the Fiend mask on our table, so that brought a lot of attention and people into the booth. So,
and lastly, he also mentioned on Facebook that Mitch has been watching, or at least got his hands on, and I got to ask him about this: the Santo films.
Yes.
Have you watched any of them yet?
The package just came in the other day, so this weekend I'm going to dig into a movie or two.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait to hear what you think about Santo.
Well, and I also picked up my luchador mask. I got one of those sent in the mail, the Blue Demon. So,
did you really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all or nothing.
Yes.
Now, I guess will I watch the movie with the mask on? I don't know. Maybe
I'd do it. And I would have no shame.
I can see doing that, and my wife walks down. What the hell are you doing? She's used to the weirdness that I do.
Right on. Well, once you watch a couple of these, I'd love to hear what you think. Maybe call in, or we'll have you back on the show to talk about them.
Oh, I definitely will. And I appreciate it. I know I reached out for some suggestions, so I appreciate that. And there's some of the movies you did suggest I still need to go out and search out. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Right. And I think Mim was even saying he wants to film a short or start doing something with luchador, because we've been talking about it for a while. It's just a great angle, Mexican wrestler fighting a monster. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So
again, two great tastes that go great together. I mean, how can you not?
Exactly.
How can you not? Well, Mitch, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us this morning here on Monster Kid Radio.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
And we'll have you back down the line, and good luck with the next Mim film. I'm glad you guys are doing something next.
Thank you. Yeah, I just watch the website, and we have updates almost weekly. So and then you can sign up for a monthly kind of newsletter that just gives all the up and coming activities at St. Euphoria.
And there's a monthly-ish podcast as well that you have appeared on occasionally.
There is. I was going to mention that. It's the Memoriverse Bonfire Podcast. Ruby and Mark run that, and it's a lot of fun. You know, we do it like what we're doing now, just kind of talk and hanging out with friends, talking about stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
And that one you have to download direct from the website. They don't have it on. It's not on iTunes, is it?
No, I don't think it is on iTunes. You just have to go to the website and download it there. Yes.
Right, or go to Memoriverse Bonfire Podcast on Facebook, and there's always links there when the next one's coming up. And if Mitch isn't there himself, there's usually a memorial candle set up in his name, so he's at least name dropped on every episode.
Yeah, they go out of their way to give me the business, but it's a lot of fun.
The horror of Party Beach to Mount Rushmore. I'm speechless. I've got nothing. Mitch, you blew my mind. Thank you so much. And thank you for being part of Monster Kid Radio, being part of our history, as well as being part of our episodes this week. Again, ladies and gentlemen, head over to steuphoria.com to learn about everything going on in the world of Christopher R. Mim. Mitch Gonzales is Mim's main monster maker. I cannot wait for what they've got coming up next. I've heard a little bit about it from Mitch. They talk a little bit about it on the most recent episode of the Mimiverse Bonfire podcast. I'm going to keep my eyes at steuphoria.com for any future updates that come out about the next Mim movie. Of course, you can also find a link to St. Euphoria by going to monsterkidradio.net. Click on where it says links and podcasts. As of right now, St. Euphoria is a permanent addition of the links and podcast section. We just made that update on the website. Well, as promised, we've got a little bit of feedback. Why don't we go ahead and dive into that? I have an email from Alan Trump. Alan's been on the show before. He's a Lovecraft fan. I met him at the Lovecraft Film Festival, and he wrote in with this. Hi, Derek. Really enjoyed the last show you and Scott did on the giant Gila monster. Learned some cool things did not know. Looking forward to the next program. I wanted to mention one aspect of the film that really scared me when I first saw it way back on the Late Late Show. It was the eerie whistling that is in the main theme and appears throughout the movie. That was so creepy. I almost left. Skid marks. Have a good week. From Alan. Alan, the music from the giant Gila monster is awesome. It's a public domain film. It's an older film. It's a lower budget film. Chances of a soundtrack album of this movie ever being released are almost nil. However, if it ever were to happen, I would add it to my soundtrack collection. I love the music of the giant Gila monster. The composer was Jack Marshall, and he's done quite a bit, according to the IMDb, including Munster Go Home and a number of episodes of The Munsters. A lot of television, it looks like. I don't know, with the Munsters connection, maybe at some point there will be a soundtrack album, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Now, Alan, he wrote in, and listeners, if you want to write in any email, you can email us at monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Now, we also have a voicemail line. You can call and leave us a voicemail at 503-479-5MKR. That's 503-479-5657. And you can leave a voicemail just like this guy.
Well, hello, Derek. This is Mel from Seattle, just a little bit up north from you guys. And first time calling Monster Kid Radio. I just listened to the second portion of the giant Gila Monster podcast, and just wanted to call and let you know I really enjoyed it, as I've enjoyed all of your previous episodes. In fact, I want to go on record and say, being a long-time listener of the B-Movie cast with Vince and Nick and what have you, one of my all-time favorite episodes of theirs is when they were off on hiatus a few years back, and you did the Creature musical podcast, which I just thought was wonderful. Like you, I'm a huge fan of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And really, that is probably more than anything what prompted me to finally call in and say hello. Because just like you, I will be going to Monster Bash for the first time this year. And so we'll have at least two Pacific Northwesterners traveling over to Mars, Pennsylvania. I just turned 60 in April, and my son, as a birthday present, bought me tickets and plane, hotel, the whole bit. And so him and me are going to the Monster Bash this year. And as luck would have it, Julia Adams will be as you know, one of the special guests there, and so you'll be having to fight elbowing with me to get in the front of the line to meet her because I'm a huge fan of hers, just like you are. Anyway, I just wanted to say I love the cast, and have enjoyed all of your various podcasts over the years, everything from 1951 Downplace to the old Mail Order Zombie. I've listened to most of them and enjoyed all of them, and look forward to meeting you possibly at Monster Bash. And I guess that's it. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much for calling in. Awesome. I cannot wait for Monster Bash. And what is this? I hope we can meet each other thing. Dude, email me. Let me know when you're going to be there. Maybe let me know what you look like. I'll let you know what I look like. I would love to meet you at Monster Bash. Represent the Pacific Northwest, man. And you know what? This whole fighting over Julie Adams' attention, I'm sure we can share. At least if there's more than one of us there, it seems less creepy if it's just one. Anyway, I definitely am looking forward to Monster Bash. Looking forward to meeting you as well as any other listener who may be at Monster Bash. I know the gang from the B Movie Cast is going to be there. Looking forward to seeing them. Looking forward to hanging out with Scott Morris and Tracy Morris. They've been repeated guests here on Monster Kid Radio. I'm looking forward to the whole experience. Of course, I'm going to record at Monster Bash and get as much content as I possibly can and share the Monster Kid Radio Monster Bash experience with the listeners in future episodes. And, you know, when I meet you, I'll probably have a recorder in my hand, and if you're game, we'll chat it up for a future show. If you have feedback for a future episode of Monster Kid Radio, just head over to monsterkidradio.net, click on the contact button, you'll find our contact information there. I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of Monster Kid Radio. Next week, we can go one of two ways. I'll tell you, over the next 2 weeks, this is what we've got planned. We've got Joe Stuber coming back. We're going to talk about Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. That's going to happen 1 week. Another week, we've got artist Carrie Gamble lined up to be on the show. Carrie Gamble is a comic book artist and illustrator, a publisher, and a big old monster kid. So we've got Joe Stuber and we've got Carrie Gamble. That's what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks here at Monster Kid Radio. And then if all goes as planned after that, we've got coverage from Monster Bash. Keep it locked in at monsterkidradio.net or Monster Kid Radio on iTunes or your podcast catcher, and you're sure to get the next episode. Monster Kid Radio is a registered service mark of Monster Kid Radio LLC. All original content of Monster Kid Radio by Monster Kid Radio LLC is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Of course, that does not apply to the song Panic Party. That belongs to the Bambi Molesters. It appears on their album As the Dark Wave Swells, and it appears on this episode of Monster Kid Radio with their permission. Talk to everybody next week. Have a great weekend.